Hello ladies and gents, I am Nother, and welcome back to From the Depths, Nother Neter, the community campaign. To begin with, we are starting off in the designer, because we have several new additions to be adding into this force. Well, this fleet, because I want to take the first fleet, that is the one which has the number of submarines and the long-range orbiter, and essentially remove that into a reserve role. The force we added in previous episode, the group of flyers, that is going to be our primary offensive force for this episode, and I want to be building up a new force consisting entirely of surface craft. But we do have an upgrade to be utilising in this episode here, and that is the Dolphin. So the Dolphin is being upgraded. It is, as you can see, it's got slightly bit more expensive, and it should be a little bit more robust. As you can see, it has toughened wings, which should hopefully prevent it from falling out the sky quite as easily when it is struck. And just a couple of other features like that. So again, it should hopefully help keep it alive that little bit more readily. But we'll just spawn that in, hopefully it will do well. But as I said before, it might not take into combat too much because it's going to be moved into a reserve role rather than a pure combat force, though I'm sure the reserve fleet will end up being attacked on multiple occasions. The first new ship is the Evening Shrimp by Brick. This is a wooden boat, as is the case with quite a number of the ship classes in this sort of scale because the pure cost of everything. And we have several guns. We have fragmentation, inertial fuse with base bleeders, so a good nice all-round shell. And I don't even know where I am. I'm over here. And so yes, it should do rather nicely. I want to just send it against the Kalmar just to see its damage output just fairly quickly, because I don't think we're going to be able to see it fully functioning in this episode due to the pure fact of how much resources I have. Why is it not moving? Do you not have a combat mode? Do you not have a combat card? Okay, looking at the ship, it doesn't have a combat card. So yeah, so I've just gone into the wireframe modes, and yeah, so a bit of a flaw in this design. Let's just put one in somewhere. We've got enough materials to actually deal with this, and I can just put it in a card slot here, like so, and then a naval card. Probably let's do aim point selection, and then here I should just be able to put on an actual wireless transceiver. Like that. Not connected to the mainframe. Why is it? Maybe do I have to do a connector to it? Yeah, I had to do a connector to it. But there we go. I've now added on a naval card and aim point algorithm, and also a chair, just so it's easy to get onto when I need to. So it's save over the shrimp, and now it should work and actually try and orbit the Kalmar. No, it's still not working quite right. Okay, she has no fuel and no... I don't know how I didn't notice that before. She has no engine. So, Evening Shrimp, you are not going to be spawned in. The Rhino, the Morning Shrimp and the Rhino are both too large. So, unfortunately, the Evening Shrimp is not going to get spawned in because, well, it is non-functional. So just cross that off my list. We'll go on to the next design, which is from Cubemaster, the Belschultz. A 15k design, unsurprisingly. And this is a... Is that Cram? No, I thought it was Cram. Kind of hoping for Cram. We don't have too many Cram vehicles. We do have some, but not that many. And this is a rather impressive looking craft for such a low value. And I believe these big green things at the top, that's actually for fleet identification marks. So when QMS spawns these in normally, they actually have different colours for each fleet, which is a really nice little feature. And are these guns active? Yes, they are. So we should have a nice little firepower array coming out from this vehicle. Those turrets spin a little bit fast. They're probably on very large spin blocks, which is a bit excessive for the size of the gun. They'd probably do a bit better actually just on a 1 meter, rather than I expect these are actually on the 3 meter block. Yeah. And that does just make it very expensive in order to do that, because they are expensive. They cost considerably more than everything else, but then again, it does lock on target and fire immediately, so there is that as an advantage. It's a good range of shells, and so it should be able to take on most targets with relative ease. And it doesn't seem to have much in the way of shielding though. But its erratic movement, as you can see here, if we go back onto the path view, is fairly erratic, and it does wiggle around a fair bit, probably due to the rudder. Yeah, it does have the rudder there, and that should keep it decently safe against some bombardment, though obviously more dedicated APS rounds will strike it and probably destroy it with relative ease. I'll also add these to the saved ones that will actually be on the vehicle production bar, so I am able to produce them correctly. From Greyfall, we have the Pocket Brawler. This is a slightly cheaper variant of the previous one, and it is a quite odd looking design. It has a very flat hull, it does have some passive sonar under there, and then what appears to be actually, are these hollow? No, they're just big chunks of wood. Yeah, so it's a big either flotation pontoons or just the fact that it's, you know, torpedo defense, torpedo bulges there. Still, it seems to be keeping fairly stable. Not so fussed with the colour scheme. It doesn't really work with my colours down here. What have we got in these little guns? I presume these are Sabot. Yep. And then this one should be the main gun. Interesting size. It's hollow point HE. Interesting. So it'd be good against the normal targets, but anything shielded we'll have a bit of difficulty with. Problem though is the detection system here. Oh, that's the warners. Ah! Oh no, they're the actual missile warners there. Cool! Let's just quickly send this against Kalmar. I know I did say I wasn't going to be doing this on a regular basis, but I don't think I'm going to be spawning these into combat, so I won't really be able to show them off to their full advantage. I think these might actually be anti-missile weapons. Interesting. Let's do send it against something with missiles. Actually, what has missiles on the Deepwater Guard? I suppose the is it the Duster? Flying Squirrel has missiles and bombs. We'll send it against the Squirrel. So it fires its weapons there, and those little side guns don't seem to be doing anything. And I just got sniped. Okay, well, it seems to be doing okay regardless. And it did take out the Squirrel, so that is a good feature there regardless. Now moving on to a really rather powerful design from Razul. These are really very potent, and they've had some incredible iterations. The latest which I've been given is the Thunder in the 15k bracket. And that has what appears to be a very exposed gun at the top. And that might seem an incredible weakness, but the strength of this vessel lies in its LAM system. This LAM system is incredibly potent, and it is proven to be able to withstand an incredible bombardment, even if the enemy is remarkably close. So we'll send it against the Kalmar, but then I'll actually send it against something like the Pilferer or something along those lines, and just see how well its defences can hold up against the bombardment. It's able to just shoot down the Kalmar's shots very quickly, and then its weapon system retaliates and annihilates almost immediately. So the shells from the Kalmar, even though they're very small, they're getting shot and destroyed, and only one got through there. Though I think that might have actually been a kinetic only one, which actually can't be destroyed with LAM systems. So we'll actually send it against, we'll send it against the Prowler. The Prowler was an interesting vehicle. We had a lot of difficulty with its crams when I was using it with the Leander, which was meant to be able to cope with crams sort of thing, and it did lose the rear end, but it did okay, I guess. It's a bit of a close engagement range, but let's see how well it takes out the crams when it can see them. But when it sees them, it's able to shoot them in an incredible way there. But it did have a little bit of difficulty, so we'll just destroy all the vehicles, spawn it in again at a more favourable angle rather than getting shot at in the rear almost instantaneously. Much like that. So we'll send it against the Prowler again. Do remember that the Prowler is an incredibly expensive design, and this is a 15k thing able to just withstand the bombardment of its crams remarkably easily. And its retaliation is able to annihilate the Prowler in turn with a high fragmentation of those spam or the Hesh heads there, just breaking through and annihilating components all over the craft, while it is remaining mostly immune to the weapons fire. It's also a wooden design, so even if it does take some nasty breaches, it does, like there, it took a bit of surface damage. If it does breach, then it will keep on floating, as could be seen when it lost its rear end in the first quick test. So I'm very looking forward to seeing this, and I do believe it's going to keep us alive, even if the rest of the forces are destroyed by something really rather powerful, because there are some pretty powerful designs in the Deep Water Guard if you let them spawn in. Then, from Unknown, we have the frigate HMS Timmy, or should we go? Might as well go straight away to the upgraded. We'll go straight away to the Timmy upgraded, and managed to dodge the crams there. So this is a alloy design, so this is going to keep itself very, very buoyant. It's got a bit of heavy armour holding its ammo reserves at the base. It doesn't have that much in the way of ammo, so this will run out of munitions for its missiles. It requires approximately 6 ammo boxes per missile gantry. Not gantry, pad. It doesn't matter how many gantries there are, it's still about 6 until you get to extreme lengths of missiles around about, 20, 30 in length. Then it starts getting a bit of an issue. But the majority of missiles, absolutely fine with 6 ammo boxes. It's actually technically slightly more because you reload 24 in the time it uses 25, but it's pretty close. So we'll send this against the Kalmar and just see how its missiles perform there. So they do fly in a bit of a wild array, but it's good to have a missile design, which is a bit more of a spammy one. But a bit of a problem is I did spawn it in a little bit far away, so it does need to be a bit closer for these very short rockets in order to fire. Though, because they are short rockets, it's going to be able to keep refiring at an incredible pace. And this, I believe, is going to be very good if we face any groups of small enemies, because this number of missiles will just be able to keep on whittling away and causing a massive amount of damage. And particularly with all these things, which now act essentially as mines. So yes, the short range is going to be a little bit of a concern for me with regards to this design, but it's doing rather well. I believe the detections on it are pretty poor. Yes, because it is made of alloy, it's getting good green is visual detection, so it's getting decent visual detection, but the other detections are pretty poor against it. And in retaliation, it doesn't need any detections because its weapons are self-detecting. No, nice little design and pretty effective. Oh, hang on, it's got torpedoes as well. Nice. It should do quite well as well against the enemy. So we'll destroy that and then add that to our growing force in fleet number 3. And now, because we were unable to use the Evening Shrimp, I do need to select a new vehicle. I hadn't really looked at the designs, I just kind of quickly glanced at them, but I hadn't actually used any of them in anger, so I didn't realise that the Evening Shrimp was unfortunately without an engine. Right, so the last vehicle we're going to be adding in, I believe, is going to be from Geodarian. Now, I think there's a couple of other designs which have been earlier on, but this is a cram cannon in the 15k. Something which I've been saying, I'm surprised we haven't been seeing. So here is one. So we can now spawn it in. It is 15k. And there is the big cram cannon at the top there. It does also seem to have some torpedoes on the underside, which is always handy. And then, of course, a wooden and stone core, because why wouldn't it be? Well, I say that almost mockingly, but I do remember the wooden and stone tank from Ashes of the Empire, and it was incredibly robust. So let's see just how much damage this cannon can do against a nice wooden target. So it went straight under there, and how much damage did it do to the Kalmar? It made a gigantic hole. Look at that huge thing there. So although it's not going to be firing very fast, that is an incredible round. It is probably penetration depth, and it's got a bit of fragmentation. Yeah, an incredible round and very robust cannon. And it's just going to tank pretty much everything using that very ablative wooden shell surrounding a stone core, and then yeah, blasting incredible huge cram shells and just coring out everything with an immense shell there. So, fusing box, what have we got? We have pen depth, inertial and time from launch. Excellent, an absolutely great array of fuses. Though sometimes I quite like time from first impact, but it varies. Pen depth or time from first impact, both are pretty effective. Still, a very good design, and I'll be looking forward to utilising that as well. Well, the showcase lasted a little bit longer than I was anticipating, but let us go into the game and see where we are. Well, we are underwater. So the best position to spawn a new force is over here, and I did not make the Judarians one of my favourites, so let's just quickly add that over now. So now that all the forces should be there, they should all be sitting on this here. So it means that I can just spawn them in. So Cramble, Timmy, Thunder, Brawler, and Bashutz. One benefits of spawning them in from here is that it does seem to make it so that they spawn in with ammunition, which is something a little bit of a concern for some designs, because, well, if they don't have ammunition, they don't function. So, let's spawn in these designs, and then go figure out where we can grab resources from. So, Silent that's going to move out. The Dolphin Fighter is going to be retrofitted to Shock Mercs. The Dolphin improved there. So it is a slightly improved design. Let's move that and then retreat this force back, because I said these are going to become a reserve fleet. And they have got a decent amount of resources, so they'll be able to retrofit this in no time, and I can go and nick a load of the resources using the Logi Dart. So, the plane has been attacked by this force over here, which is exactly what I wish. Let's just go grab all the materials from this group, and I can move them straight over there. I should automate this actually, it is doable. I can nick about half the resources from this force as well, in order to make it so that we have enough to try and get this force to a decent combat capability. So, looks like we are in the combat. Let's see how these function. So, the bombing run, I want to initiate from over here. Probably lower it a little bit, something around about 400. Because we've got the Marauder, a Scrapper, and a Vanguard. So nothing really dangerous, but you should always assume that the enemy can have a little bit of something up their sleeve, because you never know. And this is a very commanding position of the forces. We're surrounding them at a good long range. Everyone's in for perfect attack run, so I don't think this is going to take very long at all. And it really shouldn't take that long, because, well, these are fairly weak designs. The Marauder is actually quite weak despite being a fairly large craft, and because it only has a forward-facing cram, which is the only thing able to attack us. Though it's getting bombarded by an absolutely huge wave of bombs, but a lot of those, you saw the fragments didn't actually spread that very far. And that was the despawning of fragmentations, just to the sheer volume of frags in play at one time. I think there can only be a total number of 500 fragments at any one time. I think, is it total or is it per faction? Still, that is a cause for concern for that design because it is drastically limiting its DPS. And the rest of the forces though don't seem to be too concerned and finish off everything else in very short order. And some very nice cram bombs from both our cram bombers there. As expected, didn't take long at all really. One thing I noticed though, the B1A3, its bombs were despawning the fragmentation shells. Mainly because it was launching so many that it was just, they were just despawning, which is actually a bit of an issue. So we might need to adjust some of them. Thing is, if I adjust them to high explosive, then there's a chance that they knock each other off course, or just that they won't work as well. So there is that issue. So maybe that is something to look into, but for now, I'm going to keep it as it is, and then just advance the force forwards, and then take out some more tiles. Well, these forces are actually repairing at a decent rate, actually. A lot faster than I was expecting. Oh! It looks like the garbage patch has now already gone. It is a pretty small resource zone after all. We'll advance this forwards so we can actually start taking out the next point in jam wall. And I think it's a perfect place to build another one of my spy sats. Have I not got this saved? A new spy satellite, so I'll spawn that in. So this spy satellite we can move up to there. Now if I spawn another spy satellite, looks like it's going to be over ground, but it's not too much of a problem. And then we can just move up the other one. Yes, we go to Lord Path's force. Now this one's raising up, so now we'll actually be able to get. There we go, the Airwing outlet. That's the next force looking to try and capture. We've got some more land there, and then we have the Lost Forest of Airwing. Ton of hoplites, shuriken, scrapper. We're getting some tiles, but still mostly very weak. I should really maybe increase the strength of the tiles, but I honestly didn't think we're going to be facing some of these designs for as long as we have been. Let's see what we have. Urchin, Duster, Drake. This Air Force is not really designed to take out land targets such as these, so have the Bomber go after the Urchin. The Ekler can move after the Drake here, as can the Monk actually. The plane though is probably going to be one of our best things, as is the Spearhead actually. Spearhead is pretty good. And then I am going to raise this far higher than its actual combat, its main combat height, and that's so it can fire down onto both the Drake and the Duster there. And I'll pop on the impetuous faculty. Right, we're in a good position. Let's begin this battle. And this battle does not take long at all. I don't think this isn't actually sped up because it is really rather quick. The bomber is coming in, and I'm hoping it's dropping its bombs towards the correct target. However, as I look up to the sky, I notice it has deployed its bombs towards the flyers, which is not its intended target. However, the Duster has already been completely shredded, I think that by the faculty. The Monk and the Spearhead are coming in to take out the tank or Duster there, doing a nice little damage with the fragmentations, causing a chain reaction in the ammo storages there. And so I look back towards, I think, the little ship there, and it's already despawning into confetti. Well, that did not last long. But the problem, the B1A3 decided to attack the air targets with its bombs, so they all missed, and there's a lot of bombs now just scattered around. Let's advance the forces up further. Oh, I really want this force to be in the water because taking them out on the land just seems evil. Though, you know, take advantage where you get them, sort of thing, isn't it? What we got here? A hoplite and an Atlas, Drake, Ransack, Water Buffalo, and an Urchin. Again, not exactly the most terrifying of forces. Yep, looks like both forces are in. Actually, yeah, I won't attack that this time. So I'll move over here. B1A3, your bombing run is going to go right over the heads of everything and hopefully kill things. Eckler's plane, coming in from a long attack run, hopefully strafing the Atlas, as is the impetuous faculty. Then the spearhead will actually be slightly more reserved, oddly enough. And then the monk is actually going to be probably the forerunner of the combat force, and since that I am going to jump on the monk this time. So let's begin the battle, then pause. This is a more reasonable force, though it is actually two groups rather than just the one, but it seems that the size around about 30-40 is actually more sensible, which is what this is. Whereas the size of 14, 15, not really much of a threat to us at the moment, but it really shouldn't. Most of these designs could probably take out a 10 tile by themselves, absolutely no problem, not even getting scratch damage. Nice little bit of overview, some dark skies here as the cram cannons come shining in and miss the targets entirely. The bomber is going overhead. I'm just trying to watch that time when it launches the bombs, but it doesn't seem to want to deploy. In fact, it seems to have stalled and is now falling, drifting out of the sky. Fortunately, the rest of our flyers are doing decently. The spearhead is just dumping flares on everyone, and here at last the bomber does deploy its bombs as they crash into the target and do a good amount of damage, detonating a large number of internal components on the craft there. Though the bomber has stalled completely and is crashing into the sea. If the enemy were a slightly larger force or had more weapon systems, that would be a major cause for concern, but it doesn't seem to be the case at the moment. Large number of shots coming in from the distance here, and that is the faculty, which unfortunately has crashed into the sea. And have a look here, it has run out of materials, and I believe it is actually a steam engine design, so I need to correct its storage capabilities so that it does actually share resources correctly. It's in the same resource group, but it isn't actually set to hold a good number of materials, so it's told to hold 50% of its materials there. The last design though here is actually doing really rather well. It has disabled a large number of the craft. Unfortunately though, we do have Enderine's plane, which is doing fantastic dive bombing attacks, followed by a bombing run from the monk. The pair of which are doing an absolutely fantastic job at taking out pretty much every ship they come across. Some absolutely fantastic strafing runs from the plane there from Enderine. Absolutely brilliant assault from it. The B1A3 did manage to get disabled somehow, as did the Sovereign's faculty, although I think that actually ran out of materials because it hadn't quite been set up, hadn't been told to hold any materials, and I think it runs on Steam, so I have changed the priority so it actually now should hold on to materials. We did though lose the spearhead, and there's a bit of a problem, so we shouldn't really lost much, but we did, so that is annoying to say the least. We've been gathered a nice amount of material. We'll just send the Logi darts in to repair up the Airwing. Send the Airwing in to attack this base, so that should be almost instantaneous destruction. The reserve fleet though is being attacked by that. We'll send the Airwing in first if possible. Let's go attack the Deepwater Guard resource base. I said this should be fairly simple. The bomber should be able to do it all on its own, though the plane has been doing remarkably well. Faculty there. Let's make sure everything is separated so it doesn't crash into itself. Jump on the bomber and begin the battle. Probably just go straight into it. So the bomber, I almost spawned it in a little bit too high. That could be an issue. I don't think the bomb bay door is going to open. I am going to be doing this in real time because, well, it really is not going to take long. The first hit there from the Eckler cram cannon strikes through. We might change the Eckler to one of the other designs there. We did have quite a few very similar airships, so That could be interesting, just to mix things up a little bit, rather than just having the Eckler, though I do quite like the double cram cannons it fires. And here come the bombs. All those bombs, but see, there the fragmentations just are not spreading out that much. But, looks like things are falling apart, and it is a destroy this one, so... Is that AI dead? So it might be AI dead. Just hop on the Eckler. Might actually be able to capture it. Let's jump down. Whee! And it's despawning. No, it's... Thought I might have been able to capture it. It might have been quite fun. So we meet again, River Rats. Haha. So, blah blah blah. Ah, it's the Prowler. I kind of want to take out the Prowler with a surface fleet, but well, it might have to be an Airwing. It doesn't seem to be moving. We could actually just outrun it, retreat all the way back, repair the surface fleet. No, send in the Airwing. But it looks like this battle is going to go in, so let's engage here with the reserves. And the reserves are basically going to stay here, protecting our single infinite resource zone. It will move forwards when need to protect vital engagement zones, but here it's protecting this flanking position, and also it can move along to protect this way if the Airwing is destroyed. We have the Wave Blade. Stay on that flank of the splash. There. Wow, it has a maximum altitude of 80. What on earth has it been doing? It does not need to go that high. Dolphin Mark II. So we'll send that in at slightly lower range. The Silent. Go over here. Now the Politician. This is going to be, again, probably the main thing. We are actually quite close to the ground here, so there could be a bit of a problem for it. And here this goes the Responder. And the Aetios. So that, again, has been pretty much a workhorse. And then, same with the Manta. The Manta is probably going to take out the Corsair. Is that the Corsair there? No, it's a Conga. I can't remember what the Conga is. I can't even remember what tier it usually is. We'll hop on the Responder and we'll engage the battle. But yes, our forces are in a rather good flanking position at the moment. Has everything spawned in? Everything has spawned in. The enemy do outnumber us a little bit, but that's because, well, they have all these very, very weak little designs. There's there. And then, that's pretty cool looking, actually. Got a load of broadside guns, APS. Which look like they might be non-volatile. Yeah, they are direct feeds, so they aren't going to be too dangerous to us. Although these side guns are pretty exposed, so I'm not really expecting this to do too much damage to us. Still, let us begin the battle and observe what happens. Yeah, so the enemy target does fire a load of its shots at the Conga there towards Richard Dusty's craft there, and fires a load of time shells towards the Dolphin. The Dolphin, though, does manage to avoid a lot of the shots and it fires a load of retaliation strikes, and does get hit by the crams. And I am a little bit concerned, but it does still seem to be flying, despite being struck by another cram, though I do think its main weapon has been disabled at this point. Conga, though, is nosediving into the sea, and is deploying a load of balloons to keep itself in the air. The Dolphin making a turn in the sky, and it doesn't seem to be crashing into the ocean, which is great. So despite taking a couple of nasty hits there, it is actually still functional. The Conga itself, though, now it is in the drink, it is actually subject to torpedo bombardment, and these aircraft are not letting it get back into the sky, using fragmentation warheads and just generally strikes to destroy the balloons, keeping it in line for the Wave Blade and all the torpedoes just to keep striking it. A huge array of hoplites are gathering and are just launching their little grenades towards our craft, but all in all they are proving to be too much of a threat. Same with the monkey barrel there. The last defences of the Conga, though, are being destroyed as it is just being repeatedly struck with torpedoes. The FA2 though is firing its weapons systems against the hoplites, firing down with simple autocannons and just completely and utterly annihilating them in very, very short order. And I believe it's actually getting some of the highest kill rates out of all of our vehicles in the campaign thus far, despite only being armed with a few simple autocannons and being probably the cheapest design spawned in terms of combat. I think it is less than 1500 materials. It is a very effective design in terms of kills, though it definitely doesn't hold up against much tougher targets. But in terms of the fleet composition, it is a brilliant thing to have on board. Well, the Dolphin Fighter Mark II-5 did a lot better this time. It did seem to, the upgrades do seem to have really helped, and it took several cram hits before, well, it didn't go down. It did lose control a little bit. Admittedly, were weak crams, but it did survive a lot better. Yes, we will go over that one. Though, what really surprised me, and as it continues to surprise me, it's just how effective this FA2 Aetios is. It's not very tough at taking out strong targets, but its kill rate has been huge. It's been taking out all the masses of little swarmers of those hoplites and sea vipers with incredible efficiency, and that has proven to be very good and speeding up the battle considerably, because if our main craft were trying to take that out, well, it would take them a very, very long time. So I'm very glad for their inclusion in our forces. The outpost here is moving along. But then we have the Airwing going to take on the Prowler itself and also capture that node for us. So I do believe the plane is a fantastic design, and its dive bombing attack has been really, really strong. It might, I don't know, it might actually be lower controlled. I haven't checked, to be honest. No, the B8 is not going to be that high. It's going to be a lot lower. Flying, as is the faculty, the spearhead, because I want to keep them fairly low so they can actually try and intercept these craft. The Prowler, a Wanderlust, and yeah, I'm going to go. This is going to be messy. Spawn everything in and go from there. And we aren't going to be able to spawn everything in by the looks of it. The plane actually isn't going to be spawned in. That's okay, I don't mind keeping it in reserve because it is probably a more powerful design. So it looks like the Prowler isn't in. Actually, let's bump this all the way up. Let's get everything in because I want to face the Prowler and that all together. So there is the Prowler. It's more powerful than the Prowler we faced earlier because it is distinguished by the. And this has lambs nodes and is actually generally quite considerably more tough. I think it also has shielding as well. Nonetheless, just like the tutorial boat, I think it is. Quite a nice little boat design, actually. It's a pretty good space for the tutorials to be performed on. And it does also have a land system, so that's quite neat. And then this is a bomber here. It's like a normal bomber turret there. There's quite a few turrets. Does it actually have bombs? It does have bomb bays, much like the B1A3. Nice. Let's go see how they do. Prowler is a bit of a concern because it does have a decent array of weapons and it does fire a load of missiles towards our craft. Thankfully, a couple of them do get spooked away from the targets before they do take any damage. And here we go, an absolutely glorious sunset going into the battle, being an absolutely very atmospheric shot as strikes hit against that friend and foe craft like missile trails, cram shells, lamb systems, all flying around, being an incredibly atmospheric and very gorgeous looking combat here. Unfortunately, I did forget to change how long nighttime lasted for, so it's already becoming dawn. Still, a bit concerned with how well the Prowler is doing. Although it is only armed with cram cannons there, they seem to be having a great elevation and are doing a really good job of just filling the sky with cram shells. And if any of those do hit our aircraft, that could mean the end to them. Huge loads of bombs though are heading towards the Wanderlust, and see here the first few do strike, and they don't do that much damage. Again, I do believe it's the fragmentations are just despawning themselves, so the massive amount of damage they could be doing is just missing. A few strikes there hit the faculty. I don't think it disabled it, but a few hits here and there could do nasty things. Another bombing strike though does strike a lot more on target against the Prowler, and it pushes it into the ground, followed by a follow-up couple of cram shots from the Eckler, which means that it is now slightly grounded, and some of its systems are offline and it is unable to assault us properly. The Wanderlust is also pretty much down, but the Eckler itself has taken a nasty hit, and I believe that's its ammo cache has been destroyed. Another bombing run from the bomber there, the T2 bomber, finishing off the Prowler and also smashing into the Wanderlust, finishing most of that off, making it disintegrate into confetti. At some point, the faculty did get destroyed. Well, that went quite nastily. Looks like the faculty did get 2 damaged. Just managed to pull it out before it died, but I think unfortunately that does count as a loss in terms of my monitoring as to if things are being destroyed or not in combat. Let's see how much things. It's a bit of a shame because I think it was killed by its allied forces as well. And yes, it did. I was expecting it to do a little bit better, but the plane came out on top, and I do want to see if this actually does use lure. So I'm just going to pop on it. There is the lure box. So it does actually use lure for its manoeuvring. Yep, so there's a fighter AI. Okay, so it does use dive bombing attacks in terms of lure there. So that does explain as to how it is so impressive in terms of its maneuverability and essentially resilience, because it is able to do those crazy dive bombing attacks, which the normal AI isn't really able to cope with. So I might need to consider changing that, because if it is too powerful, if it remains too powerful, then it will actually has potentially making the battles a little bit more predictable, and that is something I definitely do not want to happen, and that is having predictable battles. But one thing I will do though, I'm going to be changing the Eckler out to another craft. So yes, the Eckler can be changed to one of these other ones. There's a stealth assault craft. I might do that, because Crusher, or maybe the Archer. So yeah, let's do that straight away. Let's just get rid of this. Remove the Eckler. Change it to the Archer. So we want to change this into the Archer. There you go. So this force is now complete there. And we do also have another T2 available to us. And I just need to decide who gets this. Possibly the plane from Enderine, but I know they don't have a Tier 2 design yet, well, at the time of recording this episode. So we'll need to consider things a little bit. But let's just save the game and then go into the designer and have a look at what the Archer does. So the Archer looks like it has a very similar armament, the crams and then guns at the side. I wonder if these ones actually function. Send against Kalmar and observe. Looks like it might fight at a longer range though. Seems to be going out to a long way out. There we go. Pretty similar, to be honest, to the Eckler. So just a little bit of variation. Might be quite interesting. This time though, send it against an air unit like the Drake, see if it uses those side weapons against them. No, it doesn't need to. It's pretty good at using its cram cannons against air targets, so there's that, I guess. Fantastic. So, yeah, looking forward to utilising the Archer, and we'll need to have a look at a new tier 2, because we have taken another resource node from the Deepwater Guard, and taken out the Prowler. So, all in all, a rather good episode. The Force Fleet 3, the surface fleet is not really ready as of yet, but it's coming along nicely, and we'll hopefully be able to afford that during next episode. But that's going to be it for this episode, so thank you very much for watching this episode of Nother Neter with myself and a Diffin. If you did enjoy the episode, please leave a like and or comment below, as it is always great to hear from you lot. Also, be sure to check out the rest of my channel for more From the Depths videos and other games. And be sure to swing by the Discord channel for more direct chatting, and also it's a perfect location to talk about the tiers of designs and what sort of things should be implemented next in this LP. But that's going to be it for now, and I shall see you next time. But until then, I'm out. Goodbye!